It may shock you to hear this, but if you're seeing this right now, it's definitely no accident. There's a temptation lurking in plain sight, and God wants you to resist it at all costs. Before we reveal why this matters and how it could redefine your entire destiny, confirm your readiness by watching at least 13 minutes. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment 77 to signal to the universe that you're open. Then leave another comment, ready for what's next, in your own natural voice. By doing so, you call forth immediate, tangible benefits and usher in a brand new season of transformation. Chapter 1. You sense something was off. You've been going through life with a nagging feeling in your spirit that a big choice or temptation was circling you. Maybe you've caught glimpses of it in your workplace, in a relationship, or in a sudden opportunity that seemed too good to be true. This sense you have, the feeling that trouble hides behind what appears sweet and harmless, is not paranoia. It's a divine warning. As a chosen one, you're tuned into signals that others often miss. And right now, every fiber in you screams, there's a trap disguised as something delightful. Your intuition might have kicked in when a friend recommended a great deal or a coworker introduced an exciting shortcut to success. On the surface, everything seemed fine, even enticing. Yet deep down, you felt a subtle tension in your stomach or a tightness in your chest, hinting that something darker lurked beneath. This is how God whispers caution. The universe often uses discomfort to alert you that an action or alliance could lead to spiritual and emotional ruin if you're not watchful. Consider a story where a small bite of something forbidden unleashed endless regret. An allegory repeated in faith traditions in daily life. The pattern is clear. A shiny lure seduces the naive, who only realize the cost once they're entwined. You sense it too, a fleeting excitement that could quickly morph into heartbreak or chaos. The matrix banks on you ignoring that gut feeling, so you remain trapped in cycles of guilt, debt, or broken promises. Yet your heightened awareness stands as your shield. This awareness can be frustrating. Part of you might wish you could go back to simpler times, ignoring your discernment so you can enjoy short-lived pleasures. But chosen ones can't unsee the truth. Once God unveils the trap, your conscience can't feign innocence. You're called to step aside, no matter how enticing the offer or how pressing the crowd's encouragement. You stand alone if need be, anchored by a spiritual conviction that no fleeting reward is worth a spiritual downfall. As the days tick by, watch how minor temptations or flashy opportunities come disguised as solutions to your current struggles. Recognize that, at times, the biggest stumbling blocks arrive wearing the sweetest smiles. By staying alert, you protect not just your immediate well-being, but your long-term destiny. Remember, if illusions spark a rush of excitement, but the real outcome could weigh on your spirit for years, heed that warning. Clarity and peace always beat momentary thrills that end in heartbreak. Chapter 2. Your past wounds make you vulnerable. No chosen one walks this path unscarred. You've likely endured betrayals or disappointments that left you weary, doubting your worth or instincts. These emotional scars can morph into blind spots, luring you into the very traps you swore you'd avoid. When old wounds haven't fully healed, they create a craving for quick relief or acceptance, making you an easy target for illusions dressed up as solutions. That's why this message about resisting the deceptive bite is so urgent. Think back to a time you caved into a sweet talker's promises or a miracle fix to your problems, only to find heartbreak or disappointment. That episode might have triggered feelings of stupidity or shame, but it wasn't stupidity, it was a moment of vulnerability exploited by forces that prey on pain. The Matrix excels at reading your emotional soft spots, presenting temptations that claim to soothe them quickly. It relies on you being too hurt or weary to see the trap in time. Yet your scars don't doom you to repeat the same mistakes. God allows trials not to break you, but to refine your discernment. If you examine your past slip-ups, you'll see a pattern. Warning signs you missed or brushed aside. An internal nudge you silenced. Now each heartbreak you survived is a lesson etched into your spirit. Be cautious of illusions that appear tailor-made for your insecurities. That lesson, once integrated, becomes armor, protecting you from future missteps. Some of your wounds may revolve around feeling unloved or unworthy. If you haven't addressed them, you might jump at any validation that surfaces, even if it's wrapped in deceit. Others might revolve around finances or success, driving you to leap at get-rich-quick plots. Whatever your Achilles heel, the Matrix will exploit it if you remain oblivious to how your scars shape your desires. So, reflection is key. Let your regrets speak truth, guiding you to spots that need healing before you can safely navigate new opportunities. As you heal, you find your ability to resist false temptation strengthening. No longer do sweet words or impressive facades make you desperate. You've seen enough to discern that real love, real success, and real breakthroughs align with God's peace, not frantic energy or manipulative tactics. So if any apple crosses your path, promising everything you ever wanted in a single bite, you pause. You ask, is this in harmony with my spiritual well-being? That question alone can save you from illusions your past wounds would otherwise swallow whole. Ultimately, healing your wounded parts nullifies the Matrix's strongest weapons. Freed from emotional hooks, you stand with clarity, unafraid to say no to something that jeopardizes your soul. This new confidence ensures that each time an enticing, yet dubious choice appears, you quickly identify it as poison disguised as fruit. And by declining that poison, you prove once again how unstoppable a chosen one can be once they integrate their lessons and move beyond old scars. Chapter 3. You're rising above common traps. Every day you see people succumbing to illusions. Illusions of easy riches, illusions of perfect companionship that mask toxic patterns, illusions of popularity that bankrupt authenticity. This isn't new. It's an ancient cycle wherein shining objects hypnotize the masses. But as a chosen one, you sense a higher road. You see the facade that many accept as truth, and you recognize that not all that glitters is gold. This recognition alone positions you ahead of common pitfalls. Your vantage point isn't about self-righteousness. It's about heightened awareness. Maybe you avoided a sketchy financial deal because something in your gut screamed no. Or you left a relationship everyone praised because you sensed emotional manipulation lurking beneath. Such decisions might have branded you a rebel or a loner, yet time vindicated you, proving your awareness was well placed. Repeatedly, your alignment with deeper wisdom prevented heartbreak or disaster. Of course, this pattern can isolate you. When you continuously spot illusions and refuse to partake in them, you often find the crowd moving in the opposite direction. They might criticize you for being too serious or too suspicious, but your conscience doesn't let you compromise. If a choice or path smells of deception or moral corruption, you're out. This unwavering stance confounds people, but it also ensures you remain spiritually untainted. In rising above these traps, you accumulate spiritual authority. Each time you refuse to bite the apple, your sense of self-mastery grows. You trust yourself more, less anxious about external validation. Meanwhile, the Matrix grows uneasy at your independence. It can't peddle illusions so easily when your discernment stands guard. That unease might materialize as peer pressure, guilt tricks, or even sabotage attempts from those threatened by your freedom. Yet none of that shakes you if you know in your spirit that you're aligned with God's path. Staying beyond the reach of these traps also frees you from cycles of emotional roller coasters, where others might become trapped in regrets or frantic damage control after they realize their mistake. You maintain a stable course. That stability becomes your currency, letting you invest energy in creation, service, and growth instead of crisis management. You see the difference it makes to live with your eyes open, acting on faith and intuition rather than jumping on every bandwagon. Ultimately, rising above illusions is not just about avoiding harm. It's about preserving your unique calling. The time, love, and energy you save by dodging these traps get poured into your genuine mission. Each day that you remain vigilant is another step further from a life of regrets and closer to a life of purposeful impact. And that's precisely how chosen ones transform pain into power, by consistently bypassing the illusions that snare the unprepared, then channeling their preserved resources into building what truly matters. Chapter 4. You sense divine warnings and subtle signs. Sometimes the warning comes as a dream so vivid you wake up in a sweat, feeling disturbed by the imagery. Other times you might pass a billboard or overhear a snippet of a stranger's conversation that eerily addresses your current dilemma. These aren't random coincidences. They're God's way of shouting caution into your life without forcing your free will. Yet too often people shrug off these weird coincidences, not realizing they hold the exact guidance needed to avoid a trap. As a chosen one, your senses for these divine warnings are dialed up. You can't easily dismiss them because your spirit reacts strongly, even physically, to messages that others ignore. You might get chills down your spine or feel a wave of anxiety that persists until you acknowledge the sign. The Matrix, however, trains people to rely solely on rational logic, labeling spiritual nudges as mere superstition. This is how illusions flourish. People trust only their intellect, which can be fooled, but your deeper spiritual sense rarely lies. Initially, you might have found your skepticism battling these messages. You reasoned, I must be reading too much into it. But over time, you witnessed how ignoring these prompts led to regret. Conversely, when you obeyed the nudge, maybe declining an offer or confronting a toxic pattern, you dodged real harm. This pattern built your confidence in the intangible realm of divine communication, forging a new normal where you trust God's subtle language as a valid source of direction. These warnings often surface right before a critical juncture. The universe sees the trap forming and attempts to steer you away. If you feel unsettled without a clear reason, or if you keep encountering symbolic references to poison or caution, take a step back. Pray, meditate, or consult a mentor who respects spiritual discernment. By seeking clarity, you transform confusion into confirmation. Then making a cautious or even radical choice, like halting a deal or cutting off a relationship, feels less like paranoia and more like measured obedience to a protective whisper. You might worry you misinterpret a sign. That's natural. But God's signals usually repeat in multiple forms. If you're missing the point, the universe seldom punishes genuine seekers for misunderstanding a single omen. Instead, it weaves repeated patterns, like hearing the same warning from different people who don't even know each other. Once you piece it together, you marvel at how meticulously you were guided away from missteps you almost fell into. If you're uncertain whether a sign is real or just your imagination, reflect on how your spirit feels afterward, peaceful or uneasy. The Matrix fosters confusion, while genuine divine guidance fosters a calm clarity. Once recognized over time, you refine your ability to detect that clarity, trusting the fleeting moments of reassurance that come when you pivot away from danger. The more you respond to these subtle signs with faithful action, the clearer and more frequent they become, forging a powerful communication channel that counters any illusions thrown at you. Chapter 5. You escape cycles that ensnare. Others look around, and you'll find countless people repeating the same toxic relationships, gambling on empty promises, or overspending in pursuit of fleeting pleasures. From the outside, it's obvious they're stuck in a loop, yet they can't see it themselves, blaming each misfortune on external forces. The Matrix thrives on these cycles, feeding off fear, desperation, and a misguided belief that satisfaction lies just one more buy away. As a chosen one, you've begun seeing the pattern for what it is, a trap that devours time, money, and hope. Your escape isn't luck. It's the fruit of spiritual awakening. You realize that no external fix can quell an internal void. Rather than chasing illusions, you confronted the roots of your restlessness. Perhaps childhood trauma, self-esteem issues, or generational curses that shaped your worldview. In breaking those chains, you also broke the vicious cycle that keeps others on a hamster wheel of unfulfilling pursuits. This clarity might prompt some to label you as cynical or too picky. They don't understand that your refusal to keep repeating harmful patterns stems from a place of wisdom, not negativity. If a friend keeps falling for the same type of manipulative partner or invests in one scam after another, you quietly see the repeating loop. You might offer advice, but you also accept that until they awaken, they'll bite the apple again. Meanwhile, you stand free, focusing on purposeful endeavors and relationships that actually flourish. Once you no longer feed the cycle, life reclaims your drained resources, emotional energy, finances, mental space. That reclaimed energy can be redirected into building your calling or nourishing deeper connections. You might discover talents or passions that lay dormant, overshadowed by the chaos once normalized. Freed from cyclical drama, your productivity and creativity skyrocket. You craft solutions or produce art that testifies to what's possible when illusions no longer consume your soul. Of course, stepping out of group patterns can lead to isolation. Those still entranced by illusions might shun you, labeling you a downer or an outsider. But ironically, their rejection liberates you further, releasing the social pressure to comply with what you know is destructive. Over time, you align with kindred spirits who also walked away from illusions. Together, you form a fellowship that fosters growth rather than enabling mutual self-destruction. In the grand scheme, your example stands tall. Each day you remain free from the cycles that ensnare others. You prove that illusions aren't invincible, that they can be seen, dismantled, and replaced with genuine fulfillment. People eventually notice how stable, abundant, and purposeful your life seems in contrast to their cyclical roller coasters. It may take them time to accept your lead, but your unspoken demonstration carries weight far beyond words. By escaping illusions, you illuminate an alternative path they never knew existed, one grounded in truth, anchored in faith, and never requiring a single poisonous bite to feel alive. Chapter 6. You're chosen to shine light in dark spots. Many of those stuck in illusions don't even realize they need freedom. They simply perpetuate the cycles taught by society, family, or peer groups. As a chosen one, your refusal to conformity acts like a spotlight, piercing the darkness of ignorance. Some respond with admiration, while others react with hostility, feeling exposed. That's the dual effect of being a spiritual torchbearer. You enlighten those ready to see, and you unsettle those clinging to shadows. Sometimes you ask, why me? Couldn't someone else do this? But the universe nudges you, reminding you that your unique combination of compassion and backbone makes you perfect for the task. God placed you among certain people, co-workers, siblings, online communities, so your awakened presence could challenge their assumptions. Through your quiet example or bold statements, you crack open walls built by fear. People might not immediately thank you, but seeds are planted every time you shine light on their illusions. This role of shining light demands unwavering character. You can't very well warn others against illusions if you're half entangled in them yourself. So your spiritual progress often feels more urgent. You sense God pushing you faster, cleaning up your own illusions swiftly so you can stay credible. That's why your tests can seem relentless. Each hurdle overcome is another credential for shining light in spaces most fear to tread. Your presence can also evoke friction in communities used to tiptoeing around truths. When you kindly call out hypocrisy or manipulative behavior, some recoil, perceiving you as trouble. They're not mad at you personally, they're startled by the raw honesty you carry. Over time, though, that initial shock can morph into respect. If you remain consistent, people eventually realize your words weren't condemnation but love, aiming to free them from illusions they never questioned. Still, shining light doesn't demand aggression. Softness, coupled with conviction, speaks volumes. A gentle approach can be just as disruptive to illusions as a loud protest. If you sense that a situation needs a single-pointed question or a calm statement like, "Is this what you truly want?" deliver it. That nudge can unravel entire delusions. Keep your ear tuned to God's direction, guiding you on when to speak, when to remain silent, and how to keep your own heart from bitterness in the process. Ultimately, you're a chosen catalyst. Just by existing in an enlightened state, you alter the energetic atmosphere. People feel your authenticity, your refusal to accept the easy outs, and they wonder if they too can break free. In short, your life becomes a living parable of freedom. That's the true reason illusions fear your shining light. Once people see how possible liberation really is, illusions crumble. The matrix relies on darkness. Your presence brings the dawn. So step confidently into rooms others avoid, trusting that your mission, anointed by God, has the power to dissolve illusions wherever you stand. Chapter 7. You're on the brink of a radiant breakthrough. Having navigated illusions, listened to divine warnings, and refused to yield your life force to a deceitful system, you stand poised for the next wave of authentic blessing. This isn't about luck or blind chance. It's the cosmic reward for aligning with God's truth. When chosen ones pass the tests of avoidance, skipping the bite that leads to downfall, they open themselves to a harvest of real opportunities, unconditional love, and creative expansion that dwarfs any fleeting pleasure illusions could ever offer. In these moments, heaven seems to part the clouds, revealing possibilities that once felt unimaginable, as though the entire universe collaborates to confirm you made the right stand. You sense it, don't you? A new horizon of possibility beckons. Maybe it's a business idea that finally has the right network and timing, or a relationship that embodies genuine mutual support rather than empty charms, or a personal revelation that cements your purpose. The universe is rearranging circumstances so that your next step feels almost effortless compared to past struggles. This synergy arises because your faith and actions echo powerfully, letting God channel blessings straight into your orbit. Even mundane errands can become divine appointments, with spontaneous introductions or insights that lay the groundwork for something bigger. When your inner posture aligns with higher truth, everything else seems to fall into place with uncanny ease. Your readiness for this breakthrough emerges from the lessons you've integrated. You won't sabotage your gains by falling for the same illusions or allowing manipulative figures to leech off your resources. You've proven your capacity to stand alone if need be, to heed spiritual guidance over peer pressure, and to put your soul's welfare ahead of superficial lures. That discipline, tested by adversity, now bears fruit in the form of a destiny upgrade. It's as if heaven is saying, you trusted the process. Now step into fullness. There's an air of celebration in the spiritual realm, angels, guides, or supportive energies cheering you on, reminding you that every prayer and tear shaped your resilience. As you embrace this shift, reflect on how your transformation can serve others. You might create spaces, digital or physical, for honest conversation and healing. You might quietly sponsor initiatives that free people from illusions you once endured. Or you might simply model joy in everyday routines, demonstrating that life doesn't have to revolve around chasing illusions. However it manifests, your breakthrough is about more than personal gain. It's about lighting the path for a broader community hungry for realness. By living in authenticity, you inspire others to question their own entanglements and recognize they too can be free. Expect some final curveballs. Sometimes illusions attempt one last trick, especially if envy or negativity stirs in those around you. They might try to cast doubt on your new blessings, questioning your readiness or stirring rumors. But your anchor remains unwavering. You've done the inner work and you're immune to second guessing. If a conflict or rumor surfaces, you see it for what it is, the Matrix's dying attempt to tether you back. You calmly reaffirm your position, letting your results and spirit speak for themselves, trusting that what's truly meant for you cannot be sabotaged by idle talk. So stand tall and open your arms wide to receive what's next. You've journeyed from vulnerability to wisdom, from confusion to crystal clarity, from naive trust to seasoned discernment. The illusions that once threatened your joy now hold no allure, for you know the difference between ephemeral sweetness and the lasting nourishment of divine truth. As you proceed, your life morphs into a living testament to what chosen ones can achieve when they refuse to bite the apple, uphold God's guidance, and let authenticity guide every choice. In this radiant season, your energy radiates outward, beckoning those who've also tired of hollow fantasies. You become a magnet for higher caliber souls and projects, a beacon indicating that real love, purpose, and success are not only possible, they are your natural inheritance.